Hey, welcome to episode 254 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Freeman. This episode is called Lover of Place. Lover of Place. What are the places, think back on your life, what are the places that have brought you the most joy? And what have these places inspired in you? My guest today, his life has been transformed by the places he's lived in, and the places he's lived have inspired art and poetry to flow forth from his creativity. It's amazing. May my interview with him do this great man justice. Um, we tuned in to see how well I do and wish me luck. I'll tell you more about my guest today, but first, this.
Today's guest, Mark Zimmerman.
That new intro is something else. I love it. Anyway, let me tell you about Mark Zimmerman. For those of you who are Bob Dylan fans, Mark Zimmerman is not related to Robert Zimmerman. I ask because I'm a Dylan fan. Anyway, let me tell you about Mark. Mushrooms suddenly became a big part of Mark Zimmerman's life this past summer. Painting mushrooms, that is. Now, if you are wondering how someone with a MFA in painting from Illinois State University and who was the former executive director of the Arts Center in Jamestown, North Dakota, lands on mushrooms as his muse, well, then you have to understand the power it plays and how it can intersect with the creative process. Mark deeply values and learns a great deal from the land he and his wife, who is also an artist, live on, and steward in the Black Hills. It's the land that fuels his art and his ongoing process of discovery. In addition to being an artist and a lover of plays, Mark is also a poet and a passionate art instructor. Please help me welcome Mark Zimmerman. Where are you, Mark? Oh, you're right there. So Mark, before we started, you said you had come in from outside. What were you doing outside?
Well, I took the German Shepherd for a walk this morning, like every morning. We we got to see a herd of deer, and she chased a squirrel, and everything's wet out there, so the colors are all saturated. It was a gorgeous morning.
Hmm. When you go for walks, you live on the same piece of land. Do things look the same from day to day?
No, every day is different. Every moment is different. We live in the Black Hills of South Dakota. We've got a 30-acre little ranch in a valley to ourselves, basically. We have one neighbor who's never here. So get to know the place very, very intimately. Right this morning, the creek is up. It's been raining. I can hear it. It sounds different. It looks different. Yeah, it's never the same. The light especially changes dramatically from day to day, from moment to moment.
For someone who doesn't have a light or have an eye for looking at the light, how would you describe the light changing from moment to moment?
Well, I don't know. It affects me. I know that. Today the colors are very rich, and the light is very low. Yesterday was a bright sunny morning. Came up with just a blazing red sunrise. By yesterday afternoon, it was dark and gloomy, mostly foggy, and we had an amazing phenomenon. I've seen it before. The forest is covered with little tiny spider webs that are hanging low in all the little pines and all the little brush. And yesterday they were all just totally bejeweled with dew.
Oh my gosh.
And so I know, yeah. So I mean, I wrote a poem about it last night. I couldn't not but put it down.
So it sounds like you are deeply moved by place. What's the first time when you were a kid that you remember, like being on a piece of land and looking around and going, "Wow, this is amazing."
Yeah. The first memories I have of that are really on my grandparents' farm in southeastern North Dakota, near a little town called Enderlin, which is the end of the Sioux Line Railroad. So Enderlin, end of the line.
Oh wow!
Yeah. They turned all the trains around at a roundhouse in Enderlin, and they had a farm and they had a woods, and I could go as a little kid with a German Shepherd. They've been a part of my life always. But this big German Shepherd and I, when I was 4, they would just cut me loose, and this Shepherd would watch me across. I'd go anywhere I wanted on the farm, and the Shepherd kept me out of trouble. Yeah. I think, though, that the first time landscape made an impact on me was before memory. I was born on the eastern slope of the Rockies in Colorado, on the high plains, with a view of the mountains to the west. But it was the high plains, that open space, that I think I imprinted on that, like a little baby duckling, and that space, that open space, makes me so happy. And I think that big, wide open empty is the place that calls to me most.
What is it about the big, wide open empty that calls to you? Like most people go as fast as they can, like they risk a speeding ticket to get from point A to point B across Nebraska or eastern Colorado. What is it about the big, wide open that you love?
I don't know. I think it's, you hear it referred to as an ocean of grass. And when I have been on the open ocean too, I feel that same sense of vastness, I guess. And the open plains feels vast. And I feel, I know some people think it's an awful place, but for me, it's home. And It's hard to explain. I mean, it is home, and yeah.
Speaking of vastness and open and mountains. Oh, that was supposed to be more dramatic than it was. Let's try. Speaking of vastness, openness, and mountains.
Oh. Yeah, a recent painting of mine. Yeah, that is mountains and moon. There's actually a little text, a little poem that goes with it. And I would read that if you'd like.
Yeah, yeah, please. Oh, I mean, first, Mark, please talk about, is this a certain place that you saw and painted, or is this like a
Yeah,
amalgam, not like a combining of images in your head?
yeah. So my artistic process is very loose. This painting started with, one rush load of red, and I dragged it across the paper, and with a place in mind. I was thinking of the northern hills and the high plains north of the Black Hills, and that open space. And so I'm kind of painting the Black Hills from a distance, and Spearfish Creek running out of them. I knew this place, but it's certainly not the way the place looks. It's more the way the place feels to me. And this is probably a 15-minute painting.
What?
I mean, it took as long.
What?
This painting probably took 15 minutes. It probably took longer to dry, since it's watercolor. It took longer to dry than it did to create.
You painted this is so gorgeous, and you painted this. So from one brush stroke, this came to life in 15 minutes.
Yeah. You're looking at 3 colors. That is 3 colors. I laid down the red, I laid down the blue, and I hit it with that Payne's gray, that dark black. And it was done. And when it works, it's magic. When it doesn't work, then it's pretty miserable. But when it works, and more often than not, it works. And more often than not, I don't paint in watercolor either. I prefer acrylic and canvas to watercolor on paper. But I've often actually said that watercolor is a misuse of pigment, and that they could have made real paint out of the stuff, but they made watercolor instead. And this is a small painting. It's only 10 inches tall, or 9.5 by 16.
So the poem you're going to read, did you read the poem after you have made the painting, right?
Yeah, the words, the poems always follow the paintings, and usually I know exactly what to say as soon as the painting's done, and very often write it down. I probably wrote this down while it was drying.
You probably wrote this down while the painting was drying. That gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. I'll read it to you.
Yeah, please.
Mountains and moon. Late daylight flares across slopes as most of a moon lifts to ride a night sky. Quiet comes for the day echoes across the way, and plays deep in sliding shadows. So, yeah.
Will you read one more time? I would love to just hear it again.
Yeah. Mountains and moon. Late daylight flares across slopes as most of a moon lifts to ride a night sky. Quiet comes for the day, echoes across the way, and plays deep in sliding shadows. And those shadows, I mean, those are using a wide brush loaded with paint and just kind of sliding it back and forth so it's narrow when it slides sideways and wide when it pulls down. That's all very, very quick work.
So Mark, there's often I thought like I talk to a lot of people who really would love to be creative, to feel creative, to do creative work, but they say they just don't have time. Like maybe they'll get to it when they retire or something. But you created this painting in 15 minutes, and you wrote the poem as the painting dried. What would you say to people who kind of like have that huge desire to be creative but feel so many impediments between them and creativity?
I think it's a practice. And I think it's important to be in practice. I don't know another way to be. So it's a little hard for me to describe or to imagine not creating. I mean, I get up and I do a drawing while I have coffee. And
you're doing a drawing. Wow.
It's true. I did one this morning. I did a little landscape drawing on a card that I'll send to a neighbor. It's two trees casting shadows across a road. And he just lost his wife. And so it's a drawing of a road and how it diminishes and vanishes into the distance. So I don't know how not to get up and do that. I don't know how not to write a poem about what happened last night in the forest. I don't know how not to make stuff. My wife is an artist as well, and she does a really good job of not making things. And she says that I just spew art. So, and I guess I do. It's normal for me. It's just normal. Yeah.
you spew art, and you share your love for art with students. Speaking of that, will you please? Nope, that didn't work at all. What? Nope. Will you please tell us about this?
Yeah, that is a piece of work made by myself and two other artists. Artists who are part of the Susie Kappa Arts Center in Rapid City, South Dakota, where I do a lot of teaching. The Susie Kappa artists are all adults with some disabilities. And as I like to point out, way more abilities than disabilities, which makes them like everybody else. But so, and this is something I've called the game for years and years, and I've played it with other artists, and I've played it with people. I just played it recently with my mom, who's suffering from Alzheimer's, and she and I sat down and played, quote unquote, the game. And the game is very simple. You put down one line, one shape, one blob of color, one patch of texture, and then it's the next person's turn. And you just keep adding and adding. There's 2 rules: take turns, don't talk about the game. Because as soon as I say, oh, look, it's a cloud and nothing more. But just before I said that, it could still be anything. Very often we don't even know which way is up. So the game starts, and this one pretty rapidly turned into something a little bit figurative. And I know that everyone signed it at the end, so I know that I did this with Mike and Vinny, Jeff, who we call Vinny because he fancies Vincent van Gogh and
Nice.
and tries to emulate. He emulates Van Gogh, and everything he does is sort of a stroke like Van Gogh's brush strokes. And so I call him Vinny. So. In fact, sometimes if you call him Jeff, he'll correct you and say, no, it's Vinny. So, so short for Vincent van Gogh. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. There's actually a woman at the Susie Kappa Arts Center. We play the game at the end of the day. If there's half an hour left and we're all done with whatever the project was for the day, then we might play the game. And there's a woman who has collected, she must have 30 pieces created using the game in her collection. So it's rare that I get to bring one home because she gobbles them all up. So yeah.
So you say it's dumb luck that you found the Susie Kappa Art Center in your position there. Could you say more about that, please?
About the dumb luck or about Susie Kappa?
Oh, about the dumb luck of becoming connected with this opportunity.
Yeah. It is an opportunity. It is a privilege to work there. I've worked as a visiting artist through the State Arts Council in South Dakota and for a while in North Dakota as well. And it's been, I've gotten to work in schools. I've worked in art centers. I've worked in hospitals and cancer clinics. And it's basically been a privilege for decades now. I try not to do too much work so that I have time for my studio practice. But I do, in the last, decade, I've done more work at the Susie Kappa Arts Center than anywhere else. It's a place I believe in wholeheartedly. It does amazing things for a group of people who are not always offered amazing opportunities. And it is amazing. It's just remarkable what they can do given a chance. And I think that's true of anybody given a chance, and so it's been a great privilege for me to get to work there. They pay me, but man, they almost wouldn't have to. So,
what have you learned about life from the Susie Kappa artists that has helped you grow?
One of the things that I notice when I walk in there, they are working. And they pretty much work all day. So they come to that art studio and they go to work. They start making art. And that seems to me to be a key to making art, is to do it. If I go to the studio and don't work, I don't get any work done. And so the fact that you just got to go to work, is a big thing. That more than anything has been a lesson I've learned at Susie Kappa.
As a artist or as someone who wants to be creative, it can be easy to procrastinate and come up with 1,000 reasons why not to create. But you're saying these artists just go to work.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and it's inspirational. So when I have a day to myself, I go to work. I get up and I draw while I drink coffee. I go to work. Yeah, it's a profound lesson if you really think about it, and a hard one to internalize. Some days I waste a whole day or I waste a whole week, but that never feels as good as actually going to work. So I go to work.
You said I don't know where I read this. Maybe on your website. Maybe we were talking about it, but the student's technique and ability to manipulate the formal building blocks of visual art develops sequentially to provide increasingly refined tools of self-expression. Which I'm intrigued by that quote because it sounds like you see a dance between learning technique and formal elements in creativity and kind of going out in your own direction. Could you please talk about that dance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, art. I saw someone today talking about how painting is about manipulating shapes on a two-dimensional surface. That's the formal element. That's what a painting is. It's shapes on a two-dimensional surface. And at some point you have to think of it that way. That's the formal elements. Line, shape, texture. How dark is it? How light is it? What color is it? If you can start to manipulate those with some facility, then you can say some things that that really come from your soul, that come from deep inside, and that's what expression is.
Speaking of saying things that come from deep inside, I guess this involves noticing too, but so you have some formal training, but then you went out for walks this summer and you had some mushrooms and you came up with, no, why is this not working? Yeah, you were part of that, but you came up with things like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had the wettest spring, summer, and fall that I remember in the Black Hills. And mushrooms went crazy this year. And by middle to late summer, I decided I'm going to draw mushrooms. And so I started drawing mushrooms. These are all, they're on 18 by 24 inch sheets of paper. So they're larger than life. And they are quickly rendered. This is an ink transfer drawing, which is a very intuitive and liberating process, actually, I would say. And so this is, again, a very quick drawing, and then watercolor follows on top of the ink. And I'm just playing with mushroom shapes and color, lines and shapes and color on a two-dimensional shape, or a two-dimensional surface. So, yeah.
So with these basic things of line, shape, and color, we're very simple, but the possibilities for creation are endless, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there are literally an infinite number of shapes. There are functionally an infinite number of colors. I think the last time I saw, they think the human eye can distinguish about 10 million colors. So you have choices.
You said 10 million colors?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Every time I see that number, every time I see that number, it's gone up. They used to say, several thousand, then they're saying millions, and now they're saying, yeah, I mean, it really, I think, is more of a function of being able to distinguish colors, in the test rather than the human eye. Anyway, I mean, you can see so many gradations of every color. And then darks and lights. I mean, what can you see? 50 Shades of Gray. I mean, that's a book, right? I didn't read that, but yeah, I mean, you start multiplying. You could have all these shades. You could have all these colors. You have infinite shapes. You can make infinite lines. You start multiplying infinity by infinity, and now you have choices. Now you can say anything you want, and so it's wide open.
Yeah. You start multiplying infinity by infinity, and you can say anything you want.
Yeah.
I should have asked you this beforehand, but do you happen to have your poem "The Wonder" by you?
I do. Would you like me to read The Wonder?
Yeah, please.
Okay. This is about this place where we live, and it is called The Wonder. Commonly, we walk through the yard, down a grassy path, across a clear rushing creek, and up a little trail into the woods. In one sense, the woods is a complicated place, a tapestry. So much is interwoven, interconnected, and interdependent. The tapestry is strong when whole, weakened where frayed or missing a thread. On its face, the woods is a place of vital peace. Underneath the woods, the living, breathing, changing forest is also a place of death, rebirth, and regrowth. In time, you can learn to love the complexities, but I often think of crossing the creek and hiking up the trail with a young boy. There is a point where the trail flattens and the green piney woods opens before you. At this point, the boy stopped, wide-eyed, spread his arms in wonder, and exclaimed, "The woods." I try to remember to let the marvel of the woods stop me often, for the wonder may matter the most. That's the, and it does stop me. It stops me over and over.
There's so much. There's so much in humans that can become bored with the same, with seeing what we think is the same thing over and over again. How is your experience different in that you find wonder repeatedly? Do you think?
I don't know. I think I've trained myself to see it. I think it's there. I don't think it's hard to find. I think you just have to seek it. I know that, you know, I see a leaf one day and I see the same leaf the next day, and it's different. And that's a wonder. I don't know how not to miss. I don't know how to miss that. And I think anybody can do that. I mean, I think
You think what?
some of it is living with my wife everywhere. I can't even walk through the forest with her anymore. She sees wonder everywhere, on her hands and knees, because the wonder of the ground beneath our feet is so rich. And, you know, to get her to stand up and go for a hike is a chore. Let's go somewhere. Let's do something. And so I think she's opened my eyes to wonder that's everywhere. It's available to everyone, everywhere.
Wow.
I met a Buddha once. He came to an art school to talk about Zen, and he was talking about and beauty and seeing it everywhere. And I think he was right.
Well,
Yeah, someone asked him how to paint the. Huh? Are we breaking up again?
Yeah, we might be a little bit.
It started to rain again. It's the joy of living in the forest.
The breakups will be part of the tapestry of this episode.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, the Buddha. Someone asked him how to paint the perfect picture, and he didn't miss a beat. He said, "Become perfect, and then paint." And I realized that one more color theory class was not going to help much. You know, but he's got a point. You know, he's got a point. Far from perfect here, personally.
What? What did you say?
I'm just thinking about how far from perfect I am. Oh, I'm just thinking that I am very far from perfect, but I do realize that I'm blessed at the same time.
It's amazing, isn't it, that we can be far from perfect, yeah, we can create works of such beauty and and bask in the slave. Being far from perfect doesn't exclude us from wonder, doesn't exclude us from creating.
Right. Which is very fortunate because, I think most people have a long way to go. As far as I know, I've only ever met one Buddha. So, yeah.
You did me a Buddha?
Yeah. He was from Minnesota, an enlightened one, one that was regarded as a Buddha by the other monks in his monastery. Yeah.
What was it like meeting this person?
Well, I mean, I didn't meet him. He was on stage talking to a group of art students about Zen and the arts. And I mean, I didn't speak with him personally, but I can tell you that he sat on stage in a chair with his eyes closed ahead of the performance or before his talk, and got time for the talk, and someone got up to tell him, to walk over and tell him it was time, that maybe he should wake up. And as that person got out of their chair, he opened his eyes, put his hand up and said, and to signal that he knew. And then he got up and talked. It was like, okay, so this guy's a little different. Also I watched him walk into the art building that day through a blizzard, and it's ground drifting, and the wind and the snow is lifting his monk's robes and blowing up his legs, and he's wearing sandals in a blizzard in North Dakota, and he's smiling from ear to ear, like he's just one with the wind. And I don't know, I've spent a lot of time in North Dakota blizzards, and I've never been one with the wind. So he was a little different. Yeah. A true Buddha is a little different. Not where I'm at personally. So.
Yeah, not me. What about the Bad River?
Yeah. Bad River Afterglow is the name of this piece. I spent several days out on the Bad River, which is in central South Dakota. It flows into the Missouri across from Pierre. And it's not much of a river. It's actually quite literally a bad river. It's mostly stagnant water and gumbo. It's also a beautiful place, and a place I grew to love more and more every day I was there. This was about looking at a great oak tree in silhouette before a sunset, and trying not to paint the look of the tree and the sunset, but trying to paint the feel and the energy of it, and trying to capture that more than the look of it. Yeah. And there's actually a poem that goes with this one too.
Yes. Could you please read the poem?
Sure. Bad River Afterglow. Something fiery sank into the deep and the dark. Something wiry tore it all apart. It's the barbs that'll get you. It's what's left that bit you. Bury it with the dying sun. Hit the trail. Light out. Run.
Hit the trail, lay out, run.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where those words come from, but those words are always waiting when I'm done with a painting or something. They're just there.
When is the first time? Can you remember the first time you finished a painting and a poem was right there waiting for you?
Yeah. You know, I don't remember the first time. It was some time ago. You know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, all of a sudden I just wrote down a poem after a painting. And then I did it again, and now I expect it. And they're always there. Sometimes not. I will say that too. The series of mushroom drawings I've done starting in the late summer and into the fall don't come with any words. They just are done, and that seems to be the end of them. The landscapes, even the little sketch I did this morning, came with just a few words, and you know, so yeah.
What would you tell someone who wants to be creative but is worried about getting it right, getting it to look perfect?
Yeah. Well, I think you just do it. You create, you paint, you draw, you write. Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. That painting we just looked at is done. If I had to do it over again, I would probably do it differently, which tells me it's probably not perfect. But it's whole. There's a difference between something that's whole, that's complete, and something that's perfect. And the painting feels whole, then it's done. And the poem feels whole, then it's done. Yeah, I don't know. I think you have to do it.
Can you say more about the difference between whole and perfect?
Yeah. So I paint until it feels like I don't know what to do next. And very often I live with a painting for a few days before I sign it. And and I'm usually working on 4, 5, 6 paintings at a time. And so very often have one that's just sitting there waiting for a signature, or maybe it's waiting for another mark, or maybe I need to change a color. And I try not to close the case, I leave it as an open case. There's something I could still do. There's still possibilities. And if 2, 3 days go by and I still don't want to do anything to it, it's a closed case. It's done. And some of that, I think that's if you are working on 3, 4, 5, 6 paintings at a time, then you have that luxury. And I'm fortunate enough to have enough studio space to work on that many paintings at once. And if I had to do it on the kitchen table, that might change things. But I think there's always a way, where there's a will.
Yeah, our gallery is named Green Ink. Tell me the name again.
It's Green Ink Gallery and Studios, which is a little long. We live kind of in the shadow of Green Mountain here in the Black Hills. So we have a cabin we rent to tourists called Cabin at Green Mountain. We call our gallery Green Ink Gallery. So INK, like printmaking ink or drawing ink, INK, Green Ink Gallery and Studios. So yeah, green is kind of our theme.
Aside from living under Green Mountain, what was the importance of green?
I mean, I think we really just picked it up off the name of that mountain. Although, the world out here in the forest is habitually green, and it's little green things that charm our lives on a daily basis. Yeah.
The website you share with your wife is beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Her work is amazing. The reverence that she brings to her drawings of little things in the forest is remarkable to me, anyway. Yeah, she's a student of the littlest, tiniest orchids and the little lichens and the moss. I mean, she's someone who looks at moss leaves and then dissects them under stereo microscopes.
So she's challenging you. She's inviting you to keep seeing smaller details, huh?
Yeah. She is, and I keep inviting her to look up and around and to see the whole sunset. Yeah, we make a good pair.
Yeah, really complement each other. So you met your wife, fittingly enough, at a art gallery. Could you please tell a little bit of that story?
Yeah. Well, I was married at the time and did not know it, but my wife at the time was about to divorce me. And she and I are great friends. I introduced her to Mary, my current wife. And my first wife thought Mary was perfect for me and that I would be okay. She'd just hand me off. And Mary and I went down to Phoenix, and I walked my first wife down the aisle when she got remarried. I married her because she's...
Back up. You said you walked your first wife down the aisle when she got remarried.
Yes.
That's
I married her because she's one of my favorite people, and she always will be. It just couldn't work between the two of us. And she realized that and knew that before I knew that. And so she knew we were getting divorced. And literally, when I introduced her to Mary, she said to me later, "I knew she'd be perfect for you." So I guess your marriage is in trouble when your wife is picking out your next wife. But yeah, I mean, Mary and I did. We went down to Phoenix, and I walked her down the aisle and gave her away. And that was one of the privileges of my life.
Wow.
Wow. Doesn't happen that way always. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, we're getting close to the end of our time together, and I have to ask you, what has been the importance of the landscapes of Minnesota in your life?
So I grew up going to a lake in sort of central Minnesota, just into the pines. And it's where I first discovered the freedom of wilderness. I was 12, and the neighbor kid at the next door cabin was 12, and he just came back from a backpacking camp in the Rockies, and he and I hatched a plan to canoe down a chain of lakes and spend a night on an island, and then canoe to a bridge and get picked up by our parents the next day. We took my little brother, who was 8. I think if you do that today, Child Protective Services shows up, takes your children from you. But my parents said, "Yep, wear your life jackets, take care of your little brother." And we shoved off from the shore early one morning. And I can remember ducking into the channel and canoeing out of sight, and the freedom, the sense of adventure. I mean, I've been trying to recapture that moment. Still. That's why I go to the mountains. It's why I go to the North Woods. It's why I hike into the wilderness and explore the unknown, and I'm incredibly indebted to the Minnesota wilderness, to the lake country of Minnesota for opening up the possibilities of the wilderness offers. Yeah. No, Minnesota is important to me too.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you were to if someone who was living a really busy life with their career and with family and trying to juggle a million things, and said, "Hey, Mark, I'm so busy, I'm so exhausted. What one piece of wisdom will you give me? What will you say?"
I guess I would say to walk down the trail and just discover what's out there. I do it every day. And it is, I think, possible for anybody. And that, I think, could be a city park. I think it could be your backyard. We speak of the forest here as the backyard, and we are intimately familiar with it. I mean, it's the same place over and over and over, and every day it's different, and every day it's magical. And I think it's in it's in the eyes you use to look with. It's not in the place. I think there's something to be said for, canoeing off into the Boundary Waters or hiking off trail in the Bighorns or, the Wind Rivers or something, where it's in your face and you can't escape the wild and the wonderful. But it's also walking across the bridge across the creek and into the forest, which I do a couple times at least every day. And it's the same, but it's magical in my mind most days. I have days where it's not too. That's the truth. There are days when I don't get it, and I'm depressed, and I walk across the creek and I don't see the glory of the color in the leaves, and I don't listen to the splashing water, and I don't hear it, and I don't see it, and everybody has those days, I think. I think that's normal. I think it's okay.
So when you have one of those days where you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen this all before." It's how do you come back from one of those days to having a sense of wonder?
I don't know. Naps are good. Wake up
That's not
fresh.
good.
You know, I'm not exactly joking. I mean, I think recharge just a little, get a good night's sleep, take a nap, pet the dog, just reset. Anything that will reset. And I do. I mean, I am someone who have struggled with deep, dark depression, and I have days where I can't do a thing, and crawling out of that can be difficult. And but I know it's the reset button. It can be a little thing that resets it, and that's what I need to do. I just need to start over.
Wow. Well, I could talk to you for hours, but we're almost out of time. But I ask all my guests this, and want to, of course, ask you. I talk about the power of doing our imperfect best, and to me, it means that I envision the life I want to create for myself, and what I want to contribute, and I go for it. And then when mistakes and obstacles come up, instead of being stopped by them, I try to use all that as fuel, try to learn from it, and then move again forward towards the best I envision. What is it for you to do your imperfect best?
I think it's important to remember, for me anyway, it's important to remember that it can be hard, and it's okay that it's hard, and that I can do hard things too. I've done them before. I can do them again, and this is hard, but I'm going to get through it. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, winter can be long and hard on me.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned is that I just need to program my day so that I'm busy, so that I have things to do. So I can't just, wrap myself up in my problems and stew in them. And so, I mean, one of the things I've learned is that I just need activity. I need to do something, or I need something I have to do.
Well, what great insight, because it can be so easy to stew in those problems and to go on and on, but when we have things we have to or want to do, that can draw us forth. I
mean, if I just have to walk the dog, it can change my day. And the good news is she needs out several times a day, and she needs a walk every day. So simple things. But anyway, yeah.
This has been really nice, Mark. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to wrap up, but please, as I wrap up, please stay on. Please stay on. It takes a while for things to upload and whatever. So, okay.
Well, I appreciate you greatly, and I will stay on happily. So.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Oh my gosh. I hope you love that as much as I did. This conversation makes me want to go for a walk and look at things and take photos and just enjoy life. my question for you is, what does this conversation with Mark Zimmerman make you want to do? Please think about that and tune in next week for another episode of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast with another guest. I'm excited to talk to them and see what they have for us. I'm sure will be amazing. And thanks for leaving comments. Thanks for being you. Thanks for living your unique life. And remember, you are the best and only one of you in the world. And smile.